the first podcast of Saladstop.
I know, I'm so excited and honored to be here, Anna. So it's great to be here. And I know we met on a different occasion, and I look
Yes.
forward to this kind of conversation that we're
Yes.
going to have together.
Yes. Thanks for being here. Luke and I met actually in an event. I saw his talk and I was blown away by your energy on the stage. So that's why I also decided to bring you up on the podcast. Nothing better than starting with like a full energy podcast talking about wellness, breath work, plant-based diet, and a lot of good things that are coming up.
Indeed.
I will just ask Luke to introduce himself a little bit as well.
This is Luke. Yes, I'm a breathwork and lifestyle optimization coach, and I practice out of Soma House. So yeah, I'm really excited to share all I have today, and also just my experience, but also beyond that, just the topic of wellness. It's a multi-dimensional topic, so I'm interested in just sharing a little bit more. So yeah.
Yes, it's very exciting. And I know that you also didn't start your journey being totally healthy, right? Like you had bumps on the road on your life, and that's also what brought you to empowering other people to go through their own journey, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that story and how you came up with health and wellness?
Yeah, indeed. So definitely it came from my own personal struggles with health and wellness. I grew up with childhood illnesses, with chronic asthma, epilepsy. All my life I suffered from chronic, diseases, I would say. But all the way it came to about 2010, 2008, 2010. I was in the corporate industry, out of shape. Global financial crisis hit, and I was at the lowest point of my life. And during that lowest point of my life, I suffered from depression. I even attempted my own life. I went through a few different crucibles, challenging aspects of my life. And that forced me to turn the page to really reflect on what I was doing with my life and changed it. So I remember in 2010, when I was in the lowest point of my life, when I made a decision. I was based in Melbourne, Australia back then. And I made that decision to turn my life around. And this was after the suicide attempt. This was after getting in trouble with the law. And this was after some personal, emotional issues, really, really heavy stuff. So life forced me into a corner, and I had to either wake up or just continue the way I was. So I decided to wake up and wrote a new chapter and began a journey and a path in fitness, in the fitness industry. Started as a personal trainer. And because I was dealing with a lot of stuff from my past, I had to kind of channel that negative energy to something positive in that sense. So I decided to join my first bodybuilding competition in 2010 with advice from my coach back then, Coach Ben Seong. He suggested for me to join this bodybuilding competition. And so I did, because all I could, for joining a competition like that, you can't focus on anything else. You can only focus on your training, your nutrition, and the competition.
Right.
And I needed to have that framework and that structure, because I was dealing with a lot of stuff. So that competition, I placed in that competition. I came third place. I won best routine, best poser. So that was really cool. But subsequently after that, I turned to a plant-based diet after watching a documentary on animal cruelty. And that was when I was eating about a kilo of meat a day.
Right.
And I literally, after watching that documentary on animal cruelty, I decided to just overnight, I switched to a predominantly 100% plant-based diet than vegan. So I decided that I wanted to compete on stage again. So I competed as a
Full on
vegan.
a plant-based.
Yeah, full. So I just wanted to be a positive example of the lifestyle. So I went into plant-based nutrition, studied all I could on the nutritional perspective, and competed and placed second place in that competition in Australia. Subsequently, I competed in the US as well in another bodybuilding competition, and then eventually as a CrossFit athlete. So I went across from bodybuilding to CrossFit. And I guess what was the path from CrossFit to now breathwork and wellness, right? All my life, I've been suffering from chronic asthma, as I mentioned before. And although I moved to a plant-based diet, a lot of my joint issues, gut issues went away. But there was one thing that still remained. I was still reliant on my pharmaceuticals. I was still reliant on my rescue inhaler, my preventer, and that really pissed me off. Right. I did not want to rely on the pharmaceutical industry to keep me healthy, right?
Right, right.
So it was only during COVID period when there was, of course, respiratory issues everywhere. The whole world was closed down. I
Right.
got a little bit stressed. I was like, okay, maybe this is the time that I should work towards healing and reversing my asthma. So I dabbled into breathwork. Around that time, I just learned about box breathing, and I read James Nestor's book, Breath: The New Science of a Lost
Oh, wow,
Art,
I
and
haven't read it.
it was a
Okay.
really, really, really good book, and that opened my eyes and opened and welcomed me into the rabbit hole
Yeah.
of all things breathing. And I started this 30-day challenge of wanting to just breathe through my nose
Right.
and really reverse my asthma. And 3+ years later, I'm fully cured from my asthma and now specialize in breathwork and lifestyle optimization with a plant-based diet and a few different aspects, which I guess we will go through today. So it has been quite a journey to get this to this point, but I got to this point through struggle, through stress, through my own crucibles, and having that experience, knowledge, and inspiration. I hope that I can be able to help people transcend their own physical, mental, and emotional issues so that they can be the strongest and healthiest versions of themselves.
Yeah. One of the things that I was actually impressed when I came onto the website as well, a little bit of research for this podcast, is that you're so open about your struggles. And I'm very interested as well to know, so you've been going through this journey of first bodybuilding, right? And then you enter into the whole wellness, how do I call it? The whole
Spectrum, let's call it.
spectrum, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So how to, like I call it, and now it's a popular term, the biohacking, right?
Yeah.
Can I say that you are biohacking?
I don't know. I won't say I'm biohacking. I'm just optimizing what we already know, inherently know to be healthy. I think to be healthy is about getting out of your own way. And I think modern lifestyle kind of pushes, nudges us in the direction where, our natural inclination is to be healthy. So
Right.
modern life pushes us away from it. It's just guiding people back to where we're meant to be
Right,
to a
right.
certain degree.
Great.
So if we call it biohacking, maybe. Yeah, I
It's
guess.
just a term that
Yeah,
everybody's using. It's like, it
exactly.
sounds cool,
Yeah, it does sound
biohacking.
okay. I'm a biohacker. Let's just
Right.
let's just call myself that now. Yeah.
Right, me too,
Indeed.
by the way.
Yeah, indeed.
But I think you're even a little bit more than I am, because I've seen, of course, I've been following you on Instagram now for a while, so I know that you're really into your health journey with, like all these things that people already know that is healthy, like cold showers and
Yeah.
ice baths and everything. So that's quite amazing. And that's also how you created your method. So you have a method around everything. Let's remove the word biohacking for now, but
Sure.
everything around wellness, as you said. And can you tell us a little bit more, what is your method? Like, I know you call it free human, right?
Correct.
And that's comes from what I read in your ebook, was that that the free human comes from getting rid of the sick care of our
Correct.
system,
Correct.
right, and going more into the healthcare preventative, right?
Indeed.
So tell me a little bit more about this free human
Indeed,
method.
indeed. I guess for me, comes from my own story, breaking free from the medical system, because as you just eloquently put, it's about breaking free from a system where it's reactive sick care. And really, to break out of the system is you need to start focusing and prioritizing self-care,
Right.
preventative self-care, all the stuff that takes a little bit longer rather than relying on a pill or a
Right.
quick fix in that sense. So that's the whole premise of Free Human, because I believe that when people are strong, people are healthy, and they've got optimized gut health, brain function, emotional balance, all of that, you're going to be able to make better decisions,
Right.
create a greater impact. So that's what Free Human is. So if I kind of distill 4 pillars out of the Free Human, it's function, fuel, fire, and family. So function represents your mental function, your nervous system function, how you move as well, because that plays a part, especially in this world that we live in, where everyone sits on their bum for
Right.
pretty much 10, 12 hours a day. We're sedentary beings. We're not meant to
Yeah,
be.
and they even say it's the new smoking, right?
Yeah,
to be
that's-
sitting on the desk for the entire day is as
100%.
damaging as being a smoker.
Yeah, 100%. So it's a sedentary lifestyle. Beyond that, so it's physical, mental, and nervous system function. And we'll go into nervous system a little bit later. Fuel is, I advocate for a predominantly whole foods, plant-based diet. Pretty much I consume about 100%, 95, 100% plant-based diet.
Right.
And I believe that based on what I've done, the work that I've done before previously, I co-hosted an online summit for the last 5 years.
On plant-based
On
diet.
plant-based
Right.
diet, and interviewed pretty much most of the doctors in the plant-based movement, from health longevity to disease, chronic disease reversal. A plant-based diet, true and true, just shows that on many counts, on health, performance, recovery, on longevity, and of course, if we want to look at the ethics side of things, definitely, it's definitely, it ticks all the boxes. So that's the fuel side of things.
Yeah, if I can interrupt you there, because
Sure.
I'm very interesting to know also from being a bodybuilder on a meat-based diet to go plant-based. Can you tell us a little bit about also how you felt, like what maybe your body transformations or your mental health transformation?
Yeah. I think as a bodybuilder, it's about being able to perform, being able to build muscle while staying lean.
Right.
In bodybuilding, there's a bulking phase and there's a cutting phase. What I found kind of contrasting a high animal protein diet versus not low protein, but a plant-based diet, is that I was able to stay leaner without much effort, without calorie restricting, without trying to go low carb. I don't even like to use the word high protein, low carb, and carbs and fats, because I don't look at food as macros. I look as
But when you're doing bodybuilding,
yeah,
you actually have to
I
count,
guess
right?
definitely you do. But when I was competing as a plant-based athlete, plant-based bodybuilder, I was looking at nutrient density. So I felt a lot
Oh, wow.
healthier. I felt
Okay.
a lot lighter, and my gut health was a lot better. And I had a lot of joint issues, inflammation in my body, in my skin. All of that went away. So I was performing a lot better. I was recovering a lot faster. I was sleeping a lot better. I was a lot lighter, so I could go out for my runs. Because when I was heavy meat eating bodybuilder, I was really big and heavy.
Right.
But when I was on a plant-based diet, I was a lot lighter and leaner, but still being able to maintain the muscle mass as well.
Right.
So
Right.
so I think
Because
overall,
there is this a little myth that you cannot get your protein intake from plant-based, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we are also trying to advocate for plant-based protein, because
Yeah.
you can, but of course on the bodybuilding you have to eat more. of
Yes,
the
you have to eat
plant-based.
more, and also I think where the meat-based diet, I'm not saying that an animal-based diet is bad per se, because I believe that there are healthy people who are
Right,
non-plant-based as
right.
well,
And
I
some
don't.
people cannot tolerate to be totally vegan as well.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we
yeah.
know that now.
I know of a few people who are carnivorous, so meaning 100%. I'm not gonna do that, but it's working well for them. So I think it's about finding what works for you. But I think it's about also looking at the longevity,
Right.
research as well. It's about looking at the blue zones, looking at the
Right.
5 different blue zones. Because when we look at the blue zones, these people are centenarians. The reason why, beyond the 9 factors of whether it's movement, community, spirituality, a predominantly plant-based diet
Right.
comes across. So I'm
Yes.
looking as a father of 2 young girls. I'm looking beyond just muscle mass and staying lean. I'm looking at, I want to be there,
Right.
for the first dance,
Right,
be a
right,
grandpa.
right.
It's about looking beyond that. So I think it's
Right.
about health, performance, and recovery. So yeah, I guess I kind of deviated off the question, but I guess the balance of performance and health.
Right, right.
Over
So
a
you're just
long-term
looking at performance, but also taking care of longevity, right?
Correct.
Because you want to perform forever.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, so
yeah,
it's about-
100%.
it's about that, yes.
Sustainability. Yeah.
Yes. So we're just talking about the free human
Sure.
method, right?
Sure.
So
Sure.
okay, what else?
And so we talked about fuel, a whole
Right.
kind of plant-based, plant-focused diet. Fire is breathing. Many people don't think about the air as your first fuel source, because when you think of, food and water, you can go days without water and weeks without food, but
Right.
air is just minutes. So that's your primary fuel source. However, this is the one kind of system where you can actually change immediately,
Right.
versus I can't change how I digest
Right.
just like that, but you can change your mental and emotional state. You can even improve your digestion just by breathing in through your nose, activating your diaphragm, triggering your parasympathetic nervous system. You can do that just with each breath. And I can't think of any other way that you can control your nervous system. So
Right.
breathing is fundamental.
Right.
And
And I read a book about it, like Why We Breathe, or no,
Yeah.
just breathe. It's
Just
like
breathe.
I think it's the same author, Why We Sleep. I'm not
why we
sure.
say, okay, why? I'm
May-
not.
I'm not sure actually, but I will confirm
Okay,
that.
okay.
And then maybe we put like on the
Yeah, show
subtitles
notes. Yeah,
the
indeed.
book name. But
Indeed.
I read the book and actually I was impressed to also see that according to research, people are not breathing correctly
Correctly.
due to stress and anxiety. It's like they kind of like feel stuck and blocked, and they have like shallow breaths, and it's so important to do this deep breath, right? And I actually have a very strong connection with breath work as
Yes, you
well.
told me, yeah.
Since the first time I tried, I was already feel like kind of blocked, and then
Yeah.
you go to Bali to kind of recover. So I went to Bali,
Sure.
like the same cliche story,
Sure.
right? And started doing all these workshops.
Sure.
And I went to this breathwork workshop, and like after 10 minutes of breathing, I was like crying like I never cried in my life. It was like
Definitely.
just like such a huge release
Yeah,
of
it is.
everything, right?
Yeah,
Of all the
100%.
anxiety and stress
Yeah.
from life. So like for me, that was transformative, and that's why I was also so interested with what you do with breath work.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Thank you for sharing it. And you're right. Yeah, I mean, definitely. When I've held guided breathwork sessions, I have witnessed and held space for people who have had decades of trauma, emotional release from that breathwork journey. Because
Right.
by certain kinds of breathing, and I know you mentioned holotropic when we were when we
Right.
were chatting, holotropic, and the type of breathwork that I teach is somatic transformational breathwork. It allows for you to access the subconscious mind and allows for a huge release, because I believe that as humans, unlike animals have a fight or flight response, and basically they get on with their day if they get hunted by a predator.
Yeah.
But let's say for humans, we have this suppressed freeze response. So meaning that we got a fight or flight constantly, but we also have a suppressed freeze response where we just keep taking on
Yes.
stress, and then it manifests in gut dysbiosis. It manifests in sickness because of all this emotional energy and emotional charge,
inflammation, right?
creating inflammation. But we don't get a chance to release a lot of
Right.
times, and that's why sometimes people
Yeah.
suffer from mental health and all that other, suicide and things like that. So it's about breathwork allows for a safe mechanism to release
Right.
some of the emotional trauma.
Yeah. It's very interesting that you're mentioning that, because actually my therapist just showed me like an infographic as well with this freeze mode that I didn't know it was there. So she showed me beautiful that are like 3 stages: fight or flight, and then the freeze mode. I didn't know about it. It was
Yeah.
very interesting as well. And I know that, for example, animals, they don't get into this freeze mode, and
Yeah.
actually when they get this boost of adrenaline, right, to fight or flight, after that they even shake their bodies to take it out,
100%.
right? And we don't shake. We
We
are just
don't.
like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
freeze.
And that's why I think the way we shake is movement, exercise, and that's why
Right.
exercise creates endorphins, improves your gut health, because that is our modality of shaking. And if you're not shaking, you're not moving, you're in a sedentary, you're just further suppressing and pushing all that stuff down. And then what happens? Cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, dementia, all of the top, heart disease, all that stuff comes up because we're not moving,
Right,
we're not
right.
releasing the charge, releasing the stuff in there.
So
you're-
is
you're right.
movement also part of your free human
Yes,
method?
yes. So movement is part of the first pillar function, and the final pillar would be family, which I kind of talk about, where it's relationships with yourself and the relationships that you have around you, and whether they add or take away from you. Because a lot of us, we can deal with stress at work, but when you go home, if you're in a toxic relationship with a partner, abusive relationship with or trauma from parents who are abusing children as well, that forms another dimension. So it's about, in order to improve that, you need to improve the relationship, your self-worth, to know that, hey, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I want to walk away. But the thing is that it's a big piece to move, because especially if you've been traumatized since you were a young child, where do you do? Where do you go? So I think that's where all these pieces work symbiotically to help a person shift. So it's not one, it's not function, it's not movement, it's not, definitely you got poor gut health, you're not going to think well. So it's a fuel as well. But if you're not breathing well, you're eating well, you're also back to square one. So it's about these few different pillars, and I think we are multi-dimensional beings. We have physical, mental, emotional, intuition, and we also have a spirit.
Right.
If you believe in spirit or energetics, so I think it's about taking a very holistic and integrative approach. And I think that's key.
I like how you connect, like the mental health, of course, it has an influence on our physical health.
100%.
And our physical health as well has an influence on the mental health.
Symbiotic,
right?
yeah, it goes back and forth. Yeah,
Yes,
100%.
So I like that you do that. All right, so I also feel that in the wellness industry, there is so much out there already, and I think everyone is like a bit confused. And how do I integrate everything into my life, right? I am a big fan of integrating it slowly, so you kind of create micro habits, but what is your advice for people like, okay, from tomorrow onwards, you can start doing this? Like a practical advice that our listeners can take home from after listening to the podcast or even starting tomorrow.
Sure. After listening to the podcast, the one thing that I always tell people that I work with, my clients, is firstly, shut your mouth and breathe through your nose.
Wow, okay.
That is the number one thing that I always say, because 50% of the population are mouth breathers. And when you breathe through your mouth, you breathe into your upper chest. Your body, when you breathe your upper chest, you activate your sympathetic nervous system. When your sympathetic nervous system's upregulated, your digestion slows down. You're going to be more prone to inflammation. You're going to be prone to more stress as well. And basically, it's just, and we live in an environment where we're constantly activated. Our sympathetic nervous system is constantly activated. However, you shut your mouth and breathe through your nose, you breathe a lot deeper. So what I'm going to get you to do right now, Anna, is now just take 2 mouth breaths with me, looking down into your belly. And if you're watching at home or listening, I want you to just look down onto the floor and take 2 mouth breaths as deep as you can. And let's do it in 3. Just breathe with your mouth as low and as deep as possible. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, inhale with your mouth. Now do the exact same thing. Shut your mouth and just breathe through your nose. So what difference do you feel?
Wow. Having a moment here. Amazing.
I'll give you a moment.
All right, so let's do a pause so I can actually enjoy it. No, actually, it's interesting, right? I felt when I was breathing with my nose, first of all, it's much slower, right? It's like a slower breath because you cannot inhale as much air at once. And then after I did 3 breaths, it's like, oh my God, I want to stay in this. I'm not in a meditative state yet because I need more time, but I was like calmer with only 3 breaths.
Exactly.
Wow. Amazing.
That's all you need to do, is just breathe through your nose, because why that works is because when you think of it, your mouth is attached to your digestive system, your nose is connected to your respiratory system. So you wouldn't eat with your nose, so you should not breathe through your mouth unless you need to. Okay, I'm gonna put this caveat there. Yes, when you're an athlete, you're sprinting, you're fighting, you need to exhale a lot of carbon dioxide. You need that power, that force. But 90 to 95% of the time, you want to be breathing through your nose, because you get a fuller breath, you activate your diaphragm, and when you activate your diaphragm, you trigger your vagus nerve, which is your 10th cranial nerve, that triggers your parasympathetic nervous system, and then your body can just go, So really breathing through your nose, you reduce your stress, you increase your immune system, because the mucous membranes in your nose, and also the sinus cavity, which is really the size of a ball right here. If you breathe through your mouth, you're bypassing that amazing filter. So this is the first line of defense for your immune system. So people that mouth breathe, normally from the clients that I've worked with, generally have more inflammation and more prone and risk to viral infections as compared to nasal breathing, because this protects you.
Wow.
So,
and I've seen also, like, okay,
sure,
influencers doing this. I didn't look at the research yet, but people are actually taping their mouths to sleep. That's a thing now.
That I've been doing that for years.
Wow.
So I've been doing that for years. I did that at the start of my journey to heal my asthma. When I read the book Breath by James Nestor,
that's the book.
That's the book.
That's the book.
It's a good book. Yeah, that's the book.
Right.
So that was when I started. Initially, it was tough because it's just like, because I was a chronic asthmatic, I was wheezing away. So I had to force myself. And the beautiful thing about that is, it primes your nervous system and your subconscious mind to prioritize nasal breathing, because I do that through the night for 7 to 8 hours. Your brain goes, okay, I can't really breathe through my mouth. So then the rest of the day influences better breathing throughout the day. But I would recommend for people who want to try it, you're not going to suffocate, because if you can't breathe, you're just going to pull it out. But I would recommend, if you want to try mouth taping, is just probably do it during the day when you're walking around.
Is there a specific tape for it?
3M micropore tape. You can get it from any pharmacy or chemist. So there's this other kind of tape which is called myotape, myotape.com, which it goes around your lips. You can get it online, but it's 3M myotape. It's those surgical tape that's white that I tape across. And yeah, I mean, it really helps. And I've got athletes during some of my training sessions to tape while they were training. And what they found was they took deeper and fuller breaths as compared to heaving away. It forces you to take a deeper breath, activate your diaphragm, and as a result, you're going to recover a lot faster as compared to panting away.
Wow, interesting.
So yeah.
So also something that the athletes are practicing.
Yes,
to increase performance,
top athletes.
recovery.
Definitely. Now, I think there was a top tennis player that was shown on the news. I think it was New York Post. I can't remember which article, but she was taping her mouth while she was training. So it's trending.
Right.
I mean, not in that sense, but it's something that many people are doing, not in the social media sense, but it should be trending and it should go out the next month.
Amazing. So we have here for our listeners, after this podcast, you're going to buy a tape.
Yes, buy a
and
tape.
you're going to quoting Luke.
Yeah,
shut your mouth.
Shut your mouth, breathe through your nose. Shut your mouth, breathe through your nose. Definitely, I would say approach with caution because some people might, especially if you suffer from respiratory issues, go easy. If you suffer from respiratory issues, don't worry about mouth taping. Just focus on walking around, working with your mouth shut, and just breathing through your nose.
Right. Okay, great.
Yes, caveat.
So I know that you will do a lot of work with the clients, right? But I also know that you are hosting workshops.
Yeah, perfect. So right now I am a therapist at Soma House in Joo Chiat. It's a multidisciplinary wellness clinic. So I do lifestyle and breathwork classes there. So every Tuesday I run a breathwork reset class. So teaching people how to breathe functionally for health, fitness, performance. I'm going to be launching the somatic breathwork journey, particularly focusing on releasing. So this will be like a monthly class at Soma House. So, and prior to that, I was kind of combining and partnering with a Wim Hof instructor. So combining functional training, functional breathing, and ice baths as well.
Wow.
So I'm really kind of pulling.
Let's do it.
So yeah, definitely. So that is more the kind of fitness performance side of things. And then there's the wellness side of things with breathing healthily. And then there's also the therapeutic side of things, which is the trauma release, which is the emotional release with the somatic. So really looking at these different kind of pillars, these different angles.
Right.
So
I also have a experience with ice baths.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
My story around ice baths is that I was actually very fearful of cold. So every time I would go on a holiday to the snow or it was just winter, I would be so afraid to feel cold.
Right.
So what did I do? I went to an ice bath workshop.
Perfect.
And I immersed myself into an ice bath and I realized, oh, you can actually control the pain with your
100%.
breath and
100%.
you're not gonna die, you're fine.
Yeah.
So after that I started engaging more when I have time and of course, like again, when I go to Bali, I always do the ice bath and I feel so much mental clarity after immersing myself into a cold bath. It's really impressive.
Definitely.
And I wish I had one of these at home so I could do it every day as well.
Yeah, I know. Same. That's the thing, right? You're spot on there. And what I love about what you just shared is leaning into discomfort, leaning into your fears, because your fears are always a light into what you need to work on and how you can grow and how you can evolve, become stronger, become fitter, become more mentally resilient. So it's congratulations in doing that, because many people would stay in that little bucket and say, I'm cold for the rest of my life, and put on 10 jackets and not experience the true benefits of eustress, positive stress, because now you've got mental resilience and you know that you can control your nervous system with your breathing. So that's amazing. And the ice baths are it's tough initially. The first 60 seconds, the first 30 to 60 seconds is the hardest. Once you get past the 30 to 60 seconds, you're home free.
And I think what is nice is to do it together, right? The first time I did it, I had everyone looking at me like you're going to stay. So I had no choice, right?
Exactly.
And then once you go through that community support, then you can do it by yourself as well. But I have to admit that I still struggle with cold showers. For me, ice bath, for some reason, it's easier than cold showers.
Yeah.
But well,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think it's the anticipation, especially. I mean, in Singapore, a cold shower is not really a cold shower,
No,
right?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, when we go to places like America, Australia, when it's winter time, now we're talking cold showers, and I get it. Especially just like, especially when it's nice and warm and the tiles are cold, right?
Right.
You're just like, do I really want to do this?
Right.
Yeah, do I really, really want to do this? Okay, I'll just turn it on. I get it. I get it.
But I
And
know people that take cold showers
yeah,
during winter, not in Singapore, of course,
yeah,
like
yeah,
back
yeah.
in Europe. And like for me, just the thought of taking a cold shower and then having to go to the cold, right?
Yeah,
I don't know, it's just like something counterintuitive. But
of
actually,
course.
when you get cold shower, your body will produce heat, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, so you're going to be
Adaptations.
even warmer, but well,
Definitely.
to practice. We can,
Yeah.
be, like I said in the beginning as well, like for me, it's about building micro habits, not wanting to biohack my entire health, right? But slowly
Yeah.
integrating these things into my life and getting better at it, right?
Yeah, I think that's really just right. It's about titration, in increasing small amounts of stress to create that adaptation versus like it's just like I use the analogy of if you're baking a cake and you're using a drop of vanilla, it tastes like vanilla cake, right?
Right.
But when you put like the whole tube,
Yes.
it's not good. No one's
Not-
gonna eat the
not a
cake.
good cake.
Not a good cake. So it's about
Nice
little
metaphor.
little drops of that vanilla, just
Yes.
a little bit, so it just has the essence, and you got, ooh, this is vanilla cake. I kind of like it.
Right, right.
So versus the whole.
I
thing.
love a metaphor.
Yeah, indeed.
Vanilla cake.
Vanilla
Don't
cake.
forget
So the
this
next
one.
time you want to go for cold showers, think of the vanilla cake.
Exactly. All right, so I have a final question
Sure.
for you. If there is like one piece of advice that you can leave our listeners with,
Yeah.
something that had a profound impact in your life, what would that advice be?
The advice would be number one thing that I would recommend is to own your mornings. Own your mornings in the sense of starting your day right, having a very solid and structured morning ritual, because that sets the frame for the day and it gets you out of the fight or flight reactive state. Imagine when you wake up, you first thing you do, you check your phone and then you watch the news and you're already in that state, and then you begin and all these emails, calls, stuff, and then you're already pinballing and reacting. However, on the flip side, if you own your morning, I mean, that's why I wake up 4:30 a.m. every morning, and sometimes it means having 5 to 6 hours sleep. It's it's just like, what do I do? Should I sleep longer and not have my morning ritual, or have 5 hours? I choose the 5.5 hours with the morning ritual because it frames my day, especially in Singapore where it's hyper connected, hyper stressful. We're working late. I find that by doing so, if you're going to start doing, maybe start winding your clock back, maybe up 5, 10, 15 minutes, and maybe set a time to not touch your phone, like maybe half an hour, 1 hour, and set some sort of a routine. And I share what my routine is, and maybe it could give you some inspiration. So I don't touch my phone for at least 1.5 hours from the time that I wake up. So when I wake up, I will have a glass of water with a sprinkle of Himalayan sea salt and apple cider vinegar, and drink my water and also express gratitude for that water. And while I'm doing that, I'll just take my supplement protocol, and I'll do probably about a 45-minute breath work kind of sequence. I do have my own sequence of different breathing techniques. And then eventually I'll do visualization for how my day would unfold, including what might not work out. If I'm going to have a meeting, a positive outcome and also a negative outcome. If it doesn't go the way I plan, what will I do? So that's visualization, and then gratitude. And then after that, I might do a little bit of movement. So that my morning routine normally takes about 1 hour. And I'm not suggesting for you to wake up at 4:30, but I'm suggesting for you to just look at your clock and look at what you can do. Maybe it's just a glass of water, and it's these little habits, these little drops of vanilla that you put to your day that adds up. It's not how you get fit, Luke. It's not just eating well, it's not just breathing well, it's all these little aspects, all these little micro dots that form the bigger picture that build this cake that you have. It's the flour, it's the sugar, it's the vanilla, it's all of these factors, and it took me years to fine tune my ritual, and it may take months or years to fine tune yours, but I think you just need to start somewhere. And also back to what you're saying, I want to share 2 points. Lean into discomfort. Lean into discomfort, whatever you feel like you're afraid of. Maybe not jump head first. I'm the kind of person where I like to jump head first. lean into it. Just challenge yourself a little bit, because the more you challenge yourself, the more you engage in stress, which is called positive stress, the more stress resilient you become. And also beyond that, you realize what you're truly capable of. So in summary, own your mornings, lean into discomfort.
Love it, love it. And for me, actually, I was talking about this, I think a week ago, with one of our colleagues as well in the wellness industry. And I feel that a lot of people also, they come back to these advices that saying, I don't have time. But then it's about measuring. How do you spend your time then? What is there in your routine of your 24 hours? Because everyone has 24 hours, right? What is there that you could actually take it back, cut it back? And usually is social media, you know, we all do it, including myself, to scroll on the phone, and why don't we take that back, and we can like put reminders on our social media. I think Instagram has this feature of, okay, I will be there only for 20 minutes, and these 20 minutes you can get it back on your morning routine, right? So thanks for your advice.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, indeed.
And I would love to see our listeners to do this. So share with us.
Indeed, share with us. Own your morning. You know, definitely tag us in your post. Your glass of water with lemon, a squeeze of lemon, or whatever it is.
I have to include that one, because I don't drink water right in the morning, and it's so bad. I know it. But see, again, like drop of vanilla.
Yeah, drop of vanilla. And I think it's just through conversations with like-minded people, you learn and you get inspired and you try it. It's like, okay, I like that conversation. He or she did that. I'm going to try it and see it works for you. It works for you, great. If it doesn't, then move on, right? But just keep being open as well.
Yeah, I love that. So a lot of juicy vanilla flavored conversation today.
Indeed, it's all about vanilla, this conversation. We just call it podcast. It's how to make a vanilla cake.
Right, right, exactly.
Basically.
I love it. Yes, so to summarize your tips here as well, right? So we talked about the power of breath work, the power of breathing through your nose. We talked about plant-based diet and how that makes you feel more light and energetic and improves your inflammation, your gut health, optimizes your gut health. We talked about the power of a morning routine. What else, Luke? Help me.
What else? Well, power of a morning routine.
There was one more.
There was one more.
I was paying attention, I promise.
Leaning into discomfort, titration, you know, just being able to, you know, like you shared as well, you know, you're cold, you're afraid of cold. So what did you do? You jumped into a cold bath. So just look at what you're fearful of, what challenges you, what you've been avoiding. That is your path to freedom, liberation, and becoming a free human.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Luke. So where can we find you? One of the places that I want to share, you can actually find Luke on our Fresh Kitchen website.
Indeed.
Because Luke is one of our speakers, and one of the Saladstop speakers. So he usually does talks for us. So if you want to have Luke 10 in your corporate talk, if you want to share this with your colleagues, with your managers, with your team, please let us know. And where else can we find you, Luke?
Yeah, perfect. So, I mean, we are on the top. So really, where can you find us as well? So you're on there as well. So I'm excited for us to speak together one day. But where can people find me? My website is luketan.co. And also that's my Instagram handle @luketan.co. And on TikTok, I need to update that actually. TikTok, I am known as the Breath Architect, at Breath Architect. So those are my three main channels. But beyond that, you might find me at a Saladstop having a teriyaki fable, or running along Marina Bay.
Nice.
Yeah, so I look forward to, just come say hi. I would love to say hi to you and breathe through your nose.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
This was fun to talk about vanilla.
Indeed.
And I hope to have you here another time, because I feel that we have still so much to uncover, right? So 1 hour is definitely not enough.
Tip of the iceberg. We need a long form.
Exactly. We need to run a marathon while we podcast.
I think so. Run while doing the podcast.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Well, this was our first podcast, but we hope to have many more. We are hoping to have one podcast every month here in our channel, so please follow us, subscribe if you like it, and give us a like.
Give us a like, give us a follow.